Okay, so let's have a brief look at the history of Major League Rugby. It has been a very long time since I've done any content on the MLR. It's a very interesting league to look at. It's only been going for 5 years. We've already seen 3 teams go out of business and fold. There are 5 teams active from that 2018 inaugural season, and there has been quite rapid expansion. What is very noticeable is a lot of the teams are actually in the west of the US. Even though some of them are part of that Eastern Conference, they're still geographically in the western half of the US, which is very, very interesting. So let's have a little look at it. So in 2018, you have the existing teams plus the defunct teams. You have the Houston SaberCats, fantastic name of a team. The San Diego Legion, their kit is fantastic. I love the colours of the San Diego Legion kit. The Seattle Seawolves, similar colours to the Seattle Seahawks, dark navy blue and green, fantastic, similar to the Seattle Kraken colours. Seattle's sports team's colours are fantastic. They are very unique. You have the Utah Warriors. Now Utah does seem to be a rugby union hotbed in the US, and the New Orleans Gold or NOLA Gold. Their kit is also fantastic. I love the shade of gold and white in their kit. It's fantastic. Also, in 2018, you had the Glendale Raptors, which became the Colorado Raptors, and the Austin Elite, who became the Gilgronis, another team in Texas. Texas also seems to be a hotbed of rugby union in the US. Now, that was the 2018 season. In 2019, Rugby United New York, now known as Rugby New York, join, as do the Toronto Arrows in Canada. So there's that Canadian feel to the league as well. Rugby New York, similar to the Islanders' colours, but the name is very bland. This is a problem with the MLS and MLR. Some of the teams have very bland names. Don't roll off the tongue. 2020, the now Colorado Raptors, it's their last season. They fold. It's a COVID-impacted season, but 3 new teams join. So there's a big batch of expansion. We've got the New England Free Jacks. Their social media is hilarious. Whoever's running their social media account is a genius. Absolute genius on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. They've really got the social media game perfect. Old Glory DC, they're from Washington DC, and Rugby Atlanta, very similar to Rugby New York. The name is bland, but the team is actually pretty decent. That's the 2020 expansion class, but the Colorado Raptors unfortunately fold. 2021, the LA Giltinis joined the league. So another Californian team alongside San Diego. The West Coast is a rugby union hotbed in the US. A lot of the players are from the West Coast. There's a big Pacific Island community, predominantly from Samoa and Tonga, who live on the West Coast of the US. But the LA team only lasts 2 years. They fold at the end of the 2022 season, but the Dallas Jackals join in 2022. But in that same year, Austin Elite, now known as the Gilgronis, they also go out of business. So while one Texas team joins, another falls by the wayside. So 2022 was a bit of a rough year. One expansion team, 2 teams folding. One of them was an expansion team the year prior. This year is the first year of the Chicago Hounds. Their kit is actually pretty nice. Their logo is pretty cool as well. It's got a link to that Irish kind of element to it. Like the Celtic element as well, with Glasgow Celtic Football Club, just with that logo and the colours. There's a big Irish community in Chicago, and the Ireland Rugby Union national side have played the All Blacks in Chicago in front of I think a world record crowd a few years ago. So there is that kind of connection with rugby union in years past. They joined this year. This is their inaugural season. Again, their social media as well. Whoever's running their social media accounts is also a genius. Next year, the Miami Sharks join in 2024. So, that's a brief look at the history of it. Has Major League Rugby been a success? Because the US have failed to qualify for this year's Rugby World Cup in France, as have the Canadians. That's the first time both the US and Canada have both failed to qualify. That is a concern. Is Major League Rugby, because it's growing, is it a good thing? But with that US team failing, is the quality of play in the league good enough? Are they developing enough good players? Another thing that's very interesting is in Europe we're having a lot of problems with teams going out of business. We've had 3 teams in England this season collapse into administration and fold, and their future is very uncertain, with London Irish Wasps and the Worcester Warriors they've had some money issues. They've all folded this year. So there is a concern that there's going to be, players out without jobs, and the financial side of rugby union at the club level is in a bit of crisis. Could Major League Rugby be that bright spark? Could some of these players that are now out of work sign up with the Miami Sharks, sign up with some of these other teams? Because they want to play and they want to get paid. Now, obviously, Major League Rugby is in its infancy. It has had 3 teams go out of business in a very, very short time frame. Now, yes, the COVID pandemic did have an impact on that. Can the league be self-sustaining? Can it actually be profitable? Can it actually grow the US and, to a certain extent, the Canadian game and compete with the likes of Major League Soccer and Major League Baseball in the time frame, in the time of the year it takes place? Because the other major leagues, the other big leagues, the NBA, the NFL and the NHL, they take place over the winter predominantly. That's when most of their games are played, between October and spring, which is about April. Can they actually build their market segment in the summer? Can they compete with Major League Soccer and Major League Baseball? Major League Soccer has seen massive growth. Association football, as I would call it, or as the North Americans would call it, soccer, is now growing rapid. It's the fastest growing participation sport at all levels in the community in the US. Grassroots level football, soccer, has grown massively. Can rugby catch up and also continue to grow? Because that failure of the US to qualify for the World Cup and Canada is a concern. But I'm saying that the league is committed to growing. We've got Miami joining next year. There's also proposals to get a Mexican team into the competition, which would be fantastic. Mexico, not known for its rugby union heritage, more for its football, soccer, and baseball players, but there is a drive to get a potential Mexican team, which could do nothing but grow the game. So we'll see where they also expand following Miami. It's going to be very, very interesting. We'll see the future growth. Has it been a success? Well, there's been some failures along the way. Obviously, COVID didn't help the growth of the league because COVID just shut down sport. And in a fledgling league that was in its infancy, that obviously was a big challenge. The league is still going and has weathered that challenge for now. It is a gate-driven league. The TV deal isn't worth a lot of money. However, it's growing. They've chosen the right locations. That's clear and obvious. Texas, Utah, and California are where the majority of US players who represented the national side are from and are based. And of course, getting markets like Miami, like Atlanta, and like New York and Toronto on board with a team, they're massive sports markets. You want to get into that sports market and grow the fan base. They're massive metropolitan areas. So I think their growth strategy is right. It is a shame that 3 teams have failed at this point and haven't been able to sustain themselves. It is a gate-driven league, as I say. And crowd numbers aren't massive, but they're not playing in massive soulless stadiums. They're playing in the right-sized stadiums for where the league is at right now. Obviously, in time, they would like to play in bigger stadiums. And I think with the World Cup coming in years to come, which the US will be hosting, will be integral to that growth. But that's it from me for now. If you are a Major League Rugby fan, where do you think the next team will be located after Miami joins the league next year? And can the league continue to grow and stabilise? And could we see a lot of European players who are, struggling to find work because 3 English clubs have gone under? The Super Rugby system has completely been overhauled and basically collapsed and been restructured. The United Rugby Championship, the Welsh teams are struggling financially. We could see some big-name players and some young players in their late teens, early 20s, considering Major League Rugby as an option to play. So we could see some very talented players going over to the US and Canada to, grow their careers and make some money. So there we go. Thank you very much for watching. Place your thoughts in the comment section below, and I will have some more content for you very, very soon.